Aspie Bridge show. That's Suzanne Plumley that we do here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. And I encourage everybody to check out our YouTube channel, our social media, or so on, and tune in. Uh, but we have a great guest today, so over to you, Suzanne.
All right. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for the great introduction. Yes, we come from the world of ability, and it's been such a wonderful opportunity for me to help women to understand that they are going to be able to be supported when they go over this bridge. This isn't just a bridge going nowhere. This is a bridge between the neurodivergent island where women feel stuck and they're victimized and such by their diagnosis and by their family members that just don't seem to want to understand why they have special needs and why they need special ways of being communicated with. And so, this is a bridge to help women go back into society knowing that they can be supported and welcomed. And as I say, I have two groups of women. I have you, the late diagnosed autistic woman who wants to go back into society. She's tired of feeling isolated and alone on a Saturday night, or just not being able to go back into society, feeling like she won't be welcomed. And yes, you are. The other group I have are the people coming from the other side of the bridge saying, "Come with us. We do support you. We do welcome you into society. And as long as you come authentically and let us know what your needs are, we're here to help." And one of my wonderful bridge builders today is Heather Gill. And she'll be joining us in a moment, telling you who she is and what she stands for. Today, I was going to do in the workplace, but I found a wonderful guest who can help us to understand that before we look at self talk in the workplace, we need to know who we are. We can't just go into the workplace and think that our voices are magically going to be heard and that our valued opinions are going to be accepted. We need to know that we have the inner power, regardless of what others say. A lot of personalities out there are bigger than they really are, and they want to put forth an attitude that they know what they're talking about. And there are some that are knowledgeable. I'm not saying they're all bad personalities, but there are some who, because of their own personal stories, may feel that our stories are not good enough for the workplace environment. They want to know that their opinions are the best. And we know because we are observers. We are strong observers. We look around the world, adjusting constantly. But it's time for you to know that you have power. And at that, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, Heather Gill, who is quite knowledgeable on this subject. Welcome, Heather. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for having me on. I slipped into the corner of this cute little coffee place for our call today, and I appreciate your time so very much. I work a lot with women who are regaining their inner authority. Um, we lose it in so many different ways, right? Whether it's societal, cultural, relational, um, all these things can really come into play in how we see ourselves and how we appreciate or not appreciate ourselves, right? The inner authority that we have can get mired and mucked and, kind of pushed down just because of that. And so a lot of my work stems from that. I have a book that's going to be coming out as soon as I get finished writing it, right? It's called Journey to Your Sacred Heart. It's all about that path of returning to yourself.
That is wonderful. I'm looking forward to reading that book. I think I'll get a lot out of it. So I'll be really interested in hearing your perspective on it. Now, when I was reading your biography, there was a word that jumped out at me, and I think I understand it, but I didn't understand it as in relation to this word, and that
Okay.
is personal sovereignty. Can you help us understand more about personal sovereignty? I feel like I've been living it, but I can't put it into words exactly. And I think you're just the person who can do that.
It's a great question. I love it. So, what is personal sovereignty? What is it? What does it mean to be sovereign unto myself? Right? Um, Goodness. So, to be sovereign unto oneself means to be sufficient in oneself. In the sense of this, right? I don't need to be propped up by anyone. I don't need to have anyone validate who I am. Like I'm settled within myself. So maybe that would be a way to consider that. What does it mean to be sovereign within oneself? It means to really be settled and seated within your own inner throne. So there's this word that I've heard recently, and I just really love it. And the word is queendom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that really sits with me right here. What does it mean to be seated in the authority of myself, to be the queen in my own castle? Not just like the physical domain, but like really right here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do.
that's how I see it.
Oh, yes. All right. So where I was using the word validated by family, by others, you were using sovereignty, which is such a more beautiful word to say. I mean, because theoretically, we need to validate ourselves. But that comes right back to sovereignty, knowing that we have the value. And I saw at the underneath your tagline, the great quote, "Any dreamer." Can you tell us about that quote you have underneath your LinkedIn? I love it.
Is it my email? I forget which. I have a couple of different that are floating out there. Can you remind me which one it is?
Yeah, I can tell you. Every great dream
Thank you.
begins with a dreamer. Yes.
Yes. I love this quote because to dream is to live, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
it's easy to just be in life and just to kind of move through and just kind of get by and do our day in and day out and whatever. But to dream is something that's much deeper within the heart. To have the capacity to dream and to embrace those dreams. And so, yeah, dreaming is very important to me.
Absolutely. Let me just tell everybody what the quote is, just so they can hear it. It is, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and change the world. And let me tell you how synchronous that is, Heather. I just came from my 21st viewing of my organization's weekend seminar called Dream Builder.
Okay.
And Mary Morrissey puts it on from Brave Thinking Institute with her staff, her faculty. And it's all about, yes, it's good to have a dream, but a dream sits out there. We want to come from the dream. We want to imagine ourselves already living the dream. Because if we think we're going to get to our dream, it's always going to be out there. But if we can take every day and do a 5-minute move, a half-hour move to move us in the direction of that dream, it's going to come closer. Now, let me just tell everybody what I'm in, and this will give you a little bit more imagery. Right now, I have the dream to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now, I'm in Texas. I want to live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I want to create an intentional community for neuro-inclusive individuals who come in and live in tiny homes surrounded by 2 main buildings, one for shared meals, one for enrichment. And I want to bring everybody together in nature to explore, to have fun. And this is all for women who are part of 55 plus, who may have decided that they're no longer going to pursue active companionship with a man. They'll have male friends, but they won't pursue an active relationship with them. And they want to live among other women that share common challenges, but we want to take those challenges, turn them into understanding where our strengths are, and use our strengths to work together in a collaboration. So my dream right now, what I'm doing is my 5-minute power move is I'm packing a box, packing a
Okay.
tote, figuring out what is going to be part of my tiny home versus what's going to go into my community buildings. So that's what I mean by taking an action step. I'm not just dreaming about this community center out there. I'm now bringing that into my life. I'm going to
Yeah.
North Carolina. And when you use those two little words, I am going, that puts so much more action into it.
Oh, absolutely. I love this vision. You know, I'm reminded of this. There's a community in Texas. I'm in Texas too, by the way. I live in the Dallas area, but there's a community in East Texas. I think it's called the Bird's Nest. Have you heard of this?
I have
Yeah.
with Robin, yes.
Yeah. I just I love that model. I'm a realtor. I do real estate also. So like all this really makes my heart happy to hear. Because I'm with you. I think there are ways to think differently about society and community and living together and all of those things. So I think that's a beautiful dream, and I love that you're putting feet on the dreams, right? You're not just hoping one day it appears. Every day you're just making that little step, right? One more step, one more step, one more step, and then you're gonna get there. It's inevitable.
That's it. Well, as the mentor says, Mary Morrissey says, we're not just dreaming, we're dream building. So it's bringing that dream closer and closer to us every single day, and putting a by when on the end of your dream. It's each dream is broken up into micro movements to get you closer. And when you put a by when statement on it, it's going to bring that dream that much closer. So my by when is September 14th. That I'll be jumping into a truck and moving my stuff across country, which a lot of people are like, don't you like Texas? I'm like, well, I really do enjoy the climate of Texas, but my daughters are in New England. And my one daughter just got married, and there may be grandchildren. It's a long distance to Texas with a grandchild. Not that I brought her down here at 6 months old, so it's not out of the question, but I do want to live closer. But yes, that's why I'm going to North Carolina. Let's get back to the next part of this. Change the meaning of speaking out. Let's talk about that for a moment, because so often we have been told to quiet down. I know at my own family dinner table, I was expected to listen as the girl, to not speak out, because my brothers were going to be the breadwinners. They were the ones who were being encouraged to go out into the world. So it was my job to sit at the dinner table and listen to them. Let's change that for women.
Right. Absolutely.
What would you like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, again, like going back to sovereignty and being seated within your own inner authority, like when you're there, your voice is also heard, because that is an extension of who you are. It's your essence. It comes out, like it's the sound, it's the vibration. It's the truth that comes from your soul, right? And so it is important for us to be connected, not only in our inner authority, but also to our voice and to what we say. And an axiom that I've often heard is that the truth will set you free, right? And speaking the truth and being truthful about where we are in life, being truthful about what our situation and our circumstances, that's a powerful place to be as a woman. And when we're in that space, and again, I liken it to that sovereign space within ourselves, when we're in that space, it changes things. Because when we're in our inner authority, when we are speaking in truth and walking in truth, it changes the dynamics of how we show up in life.
Oh, yeah. Our emotional energy just gets to the next vibration of who we are. And I think that's wonderful. When women honor themselves first, that's part of this, isn't it? And I heard you talk about the archetypal. I would love to hear if that's where that comes in. Is that part of this, of when women honor themselves first?
Oh, absolutely. I really love archetypes. I love digging into that. I've always been a fan. Are you a fan of like the Marvel movies or
Oh,
any of yeah, I mean, they're
let me
very
just
much rooted. Yeah, go
Let
ahead.
me just quickly say, when you say Marvel movies, a lot of people are sometimes against my Aspie Bridge. And I
Okay.
try to explain to them that think of it as a Marvel character
Okay.
whereby the woman is autistic, but she's going out into the world and she's fixing problems. And imagine her as a Marvel character going out into society, fixing little problems, communication
Uh-huh.
hiccups, and fixing the problem. So yes, that's of course
Yeah.
that's exactly my connection to Marvel characters. But go on.
Yeah, so we're surrounded by this idea of archetypes all the time, whether we realize it or not. And I love to point to Marvel movies and comic books and just other things in society because it speaks to this idea. Well, we can live inside of different archetypes, you know. And in my coaching program, we're in week 3 this week. We meet on Thursday, and the archetype we're working with is the woman who remembers herself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very straightforward. The woman who remembers herself, yes, but it's also more than just words, right? It's an attitude. It's like if you think of putting on a robe or a cloak or whatever, like it is a way of moving and being in the earth. So yeah, archetypes are very dear to me and very
Mm-hmm.
important in what I do.
Have you read Carolyn Mrs. The Sacred Contract?
No, I haven't. I'll have to check that one out.
That one is where she talks a lot about the archetypal
Really? Okay.
individual. So
Okay.
the Sacred Contract. I actually
Sacred
listened to
fun.
it on audio book.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah.
So it's a great driving book because it is
Okay.
not too much, but it tells a story while you're driving. And I highly recommend it. Any of her
Okay.
work is fascinating. But when you
Okay.
say archetypal, I immediately turn to Carol and Mrs. work. Um, all right, so I have a slightly different question.
Okay.
Where does the role of grief play in reclaiming our power? Because I'm guessing every
Mm,
woman goes through a deep part of her life, goes through that valley of
yeah.
despair. And I know I have because I've had to come to accept that my mother's not going to be the huggy, lovey, supportive. Your dreams
Yeah.
are the best thing that happened to you. My mom is more the realistic. This is what you can do with what you have from where you are, and that's very narrow in her mind. Whereas in my mind, is like I'm unlimited. So
Yeah.
the role of grief came to me of acceptance that she's not going to be the mother I always hoped she would be.
Mm,
This mentor is more of a model mother to me than my own mother is. And I always hoped that I could bring some of my coaching into her. But you have to accept that some people don't want that. Tell me
yeah.
where your belief in the role of grief and reclaim power.
Grief is so important, and our society doesn't like it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's something that most people avoid, but if you really allow it to just be what it is,
Mm-hmm.
think of grief as a wave.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's calm, then it swells, and then it comes back down again. It's just a pattern, and if we allow these patterns to move through us, these emotional waves just to move, they come, they arc, and then they release. Once we allow those to move through us and we release them, right? There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
power in just allowing. Okay, when we allow that, when we release that, when we let that go, and we just allow the moment to be what it is, it helps us get back to who we are a lot sooner. It really does. And so, how does this help us reclaim our inner authority or our inner power? It's the axiom of truth again. You know, the
Yeah.
truth will set us free. So the other way I've heard this saying is the truth will set you free, but not before it pisses you off first. Have you heard this?
I haven't heard that, but I do like that. Oh my gosh, yes.
Totally true. Totally true to my experience. Sometimes the truth is like, I don't want this to be true, but it is true. So, but as we allow ourselves to feel, a good friend of mine says, what you feel, you heal. So allowing yourself to go through those moments, allowing the arcs to be what they are, allowing them to release, super important. And then just allowing life to unfold from there. So yeah, it's very much tied to it.
Absolutely. Well, you can see where I've hit the grief, and then
Yeah.
my biggest mountain was telling my mother I was going to be leaving because she's here in Texas, and
Okay. Yeah.
that was my big wave
Yeah.
of saying, okay, I've been here for 9.5 years, and you are who you are, and you
Yep.
are who you choose to be, and I accept
Yep.
that. But now I'm not staying here in Texas because I have other people I want to be with. So my grief came from radical acceptance, which is what Dr. Ramani Deversala says. Radical acceptance is the woman who gave birth to me is not the woman that I need her to be, but is the woman that she chooses to be. And I have to
Right.
accept that.
Yeah.
That's where my grief came in, is understanding that she'll just never be the type of mother I was hoping she would be for me. But she is
Yeah.
perfectly for who she is.
Right.
Why do
Right.
transitions in life help us? That's kind of goes along the same idea, because
Yeah.
now that we've accepted the grief, now that we've accepted that wave,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hit us and it hit us hard, and we've come on the other side, why do you think that transition is what's going to open us up again? I know why, but I would love to hear you say it, because I
Sure.
found the inner peace, and that's where my coaching comes in, is I help women get to the other side of that wave and realize their power as well. So we kind of coach on the same idea, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I, in thinking about the wave analogy again, like we only have so much capacity right here. And if what is going on right here is like this kind of, if it's static, like if it has a noise to it, if it's busy, if it has a feeling like maybe it's anxious or sadness, or if there's emotional residue, let's call it that, right? So if we have emotional residue here, but we allow the waves to be what they are, they will eventually move the emotional residue away and allow us to have more capacity, because we only have so much capacity. And I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. So coming to understand that what was and what's been up to our life to this point, we can either stay stuck, is what I think I'm hearing you say, or we can go through the grief, go through the wave, come out on the other side and realize that didn't define us.
Right. Yeah.
That our past does not define who we're able to be. So when we really get to that point where we've come off of that wave and we're still living and we're still here, we have a choice. We can keep looking back and saying, yeah, but,
Right.
but we can now say, this is my new chapter.
Right.
This is where I'm going forward. And when you take the time to accept that inner person, that inner queen, I love the way you said that, the inner queen that says, no, I'm not going back. I'm going forward.
Right. Yeah, transitions are powerful, and I trust that life is leading me forward in the direction I need to go. And so even if the wave knocks me back a little bit, I know that things are still lining up for me, and that, this will all be calmed down and settled. I'll be in my inner authority so I can move forward the way I need to.
That's so right. Now, what if we refuse the wave? I have heard that what happens from my background, my coaching certification and information background, I've heard that if we ignore the wave, if we ignore the transition, eventually our bodies will start to reflect that ignoring until the nudge is so strong that we don't have a choice to stay stuck. And I realized that through some of the hip and I don't know if you know Louise Hay at all or not, and her work, but your body will start to symptomize if you don't move forward.
Life has a way of speaking to us, it really does. And if we stay stagnant long enough, it will affect us. It'll start showing up in different areas of our life. I mean, the analogy of the wave keeps coming to me, and I have a funny story I can share. So I was a young girl from Oklahoma when I first
Yeah.
went down to Mexico, right? And so never been to the beach before, been to the lake a lot, but never the ocean. So we go to Padre on our last day driving home from our trip that we were on. And I walk out into the waves because I've never experienced anything like this ever, the ocean, right? And I kept getting knocked over. I kept getting drug around in the sand because I didn't understand, oh, I might need to like have a steady stance here and be
Yep.
intentional about how the waves are hitting me. And so, like, in the same way, spiritually and emotionally, we can be with ourselves and with our emotions that happen. And there are moments in time when the emotions just overtake us, and that's okay. And that happens from time to time. And we're human, and it's just part of the human experience, right? And there are moments when we know, okay, well, I know to do some self care here, and I know to be quiet here, and I know to allow this to come up. And like, you just work with it in a different way, right? Because once I understood as this young girl, okay, I might need to brace a little bit. I might need to put my feet a little bit steadier. And okay, now I'm not getting knocked over as much. So I know how to play with it more, right? And I love to think of these things as play because it can be a real heavy thing to talk about this sort of discussion, right? This sort of topic. Because life is happening to all of us. But like if I allow myself just to play in the space and just let it be what it is, let it come, let it go, just observe, be the observer. Like life is so much easier for me when I do that.
Absolutely. It is all about standing our ground, quite literally, and adjusting until we find that steadiness. I like the way you said that. And when we find that steadiness, when we find that self trust, that we're not going to get knocked over by the littlest wave that comes or the bigger waves that come, when we have the self trust that we're going to make it to the other side.
Right.
Yeah, we
Right.
might get knocked down once or twice, which is what I heard you say. But if
Yeah.
we stay down and we say, I give up, you're not going to learn that you can trust yourself to handle things in the future. You just kind of stay down and you give in to everybody else's whims, which is, when we think about it, we need to think that our mistakes are just mistakes. They're not
Just
life
learning.
ending problems. They're just a mistake. And I was talking to someone last night who was like, oh, I just can't believe I made that mistake again. I'm like, you didn't, or she was getting mad at herself. I said, it's just a mistake.
It's just
And
learning.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A mistake is just that. She was, I was talking last week with Carrie, and I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. No, you're not stupid. You just made a mistake. That's it. That's it. So, Heather, how can this help us help women now take this self trust and go into a workplace where there are going to be different personalities and know that her beliefs, her perspectives are going to matter and she should speak up?
Great question. So I think some of this is the energy that you bring with you, right? So if we think of it this way, I know that I have value. I know that what I speak makes a difference. I know that what I share impacts people. And so I know that going into conversations. So if I'm in a workplace environment, I know this about myself. I'm rested in that, and I'm seated in my inner authority again. I'm not here trying to prove anything. I'm not here trying to be in a fight with anybody. I'm not
Right.
trying to whatever. Like, again, like I'm thinking of it more as an energy kind of thing at this point. But if I'm calm, cool, collected in my inner authority, and when the time is right, I speak up, yeah, it's going to be heard 100%. But I don't have to prove anything to anybody. And I know that's
And
easier said than done sometimes because I've been in those rooms where everybody's trying to prove something, and sometimes you just don't say anything. Sometimes you
yeah,
don't. Sometimes you just don't interact with those kind of environments. But you just have to trust yourself and know that when you do speak up, it matters. It will be heard, and just trust that it's going to work out.
absolutely. I mean, there are times when the climate, the environment
Yeah.
is just a matter of adjusting, but not
Yeah.
masking. I do want to say that you're not masking your behavior around others. You're feeling the room to know
Yeah.
where your timing of your statements is right. You're not blurting out
Mm.
everything, but you're just assessing the room, finding out where what you have to say fits in. Now, if you never feel like you fit in, that may be your time to find something new. There
Mm.
may be a lot of noise out there where your feelings are not going to be accepted. Your thoughts are not going to be accepted as they are. And that may be the time when you need to start looking for something else. So, when to find your place is knowing whether or not you have a couple of good ideas that people have accepted because you feel good about saying them. And when you keep getting shut down, maybe the time to
Mm.
move on.
Yeah. Right.
Would you agree
Yeah.
with that? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because there has to be a certain amount of reciprocity.
Right.
There does, and acknowledgement. So yeah, I mean, not all environments you need to stay in. I mean, this is true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's good. Can you tell us anything else that you'd like to add to this podcast so that people know more about what you stand for or some of the different programs that you like to help women with?
Thank you for that. And this has been such a great conversation. I've loved every minute of it.
I'm
You
glad.
know, life is happening to all of us, as I said earlier, and getting back to the true essence of who we are, that's how things change in the world, right? The world is not changed by us women acting more like men.
Mm-hmm.
It changes because we're being more of who we are and showing up in that way in life. The work I do is helping women reclaim that part of themselves that they've either buried or forgotten. The book, I'm working on the book still. Hopefully I have it ready for editing in the next couple of months. I'm working really diligently on it now. The Journey to Your Sacred Heart will be out soon. I run a coaching program. So the coaching cohort I'm currently running right now is called um, the Sovereign Heart Compass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about finding that inner compass within yourself. And so, yeah, if you go to meetheathergill.com, there's information there about the programs I offer, and you can also get on my little mailing list or whatever, so you know what's going on next. But yeah,
That's great. Would you be willing to put your website into the Aspie Bridge so that people can click on it easier
oh
to get
sure,
right to
yeah,
you? That would be
sounds
great.
good.
I had sent you a link for that. So if you'd like to
Oh,
go
okay,
into your picture and put in your link, I'd be more than
okay.
welcome to sponsor you as well.
Well,
The
thank you.
sponsor may not be refer you. That might be a
Okay,
better word.
sure.
But and I want to thank everybody for coming today. I think when we start going back into society, we have that fear that we won't be accepted. And I want you to understand that if when you have self trust, that your values, your opinions, your thoughts, your knowledge is strong, I think you'll start to find that there are going to be people that will accept you. And when you don't find those people who are willing, that may be the wrong environment. And I
Yeah,
want you to not burn your bridge, not leave, get up and storm out and leave your job,
right.
but start to look for the environment that better accepts you for the woman you are. And I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope you subscribe to the Aspie Bridge podcast page. I hope you'll join us on the Facebook page, group page, the Aspie Bridge, so that you can become more part of this conversation. Look at some of the guests we've had in the past. And if you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to have your perspective on helping women go back into society. And next week, I will be bringing you I have to think of her name at the moment. But I will be bringing you self-talk in the workplace, and I hope you come to visit us next time. Heather, thank you for being my guest this week. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time. And if any of you have any questions for Heather, I would love you to go onto the Facebook group page and ask your question right there, and I'm sure she will be able to answer you. And for now, I want to say thank you for coming to the Aspie Bridge.
Thank you.
And Heather,
It's been a
thank you.
pleasure. Thank you, Suzanne.